I would like to show you the settings tab on the Fieldview cab app. So if you're a Fieldview Plus subscriber, this is going to help you get some things set up before you have to enter the field at spring planting time. It's also going to allow you to change some of the settings to fit your preferences for your farm. So under the settings tab, there's a few things in general you may want to know about or change. The first thing I want to talk about is the Edit Yield Units button. By using the Edit Yield Units button, you can change things from bushels to pounds or tons. So some crops, namely canola, sunflowers, automatically report in bushels in the Climate Fieldview cab app, but you may want to see those in pounds. So you can just go in here, hit Edit Yield Units, go to select your crop, and then select what unit you want to see it. Again, canola is automatically reported in bushels. I've already switched mine to pounds. So once you've got that, you just hit the X, and then it will retroactively report everything in your cab app as the unit that you selected. So this is something you can do right in the middle of the season, and it will go in and change all your old data that you've already collected. This Cloud Sync button, it's important to have enabled. A few features that you'll lose if you disable it is you won't be able to send data from your iPad up to the cloud. So all of the data that you collect on your farm will then be stored only on the iPad. The problem with that is if your iPad crashes, you risk losing that data or if you break it. The other thing that will be disabled if you have the Cloud Sync disabled is if you have more than one piece of equipment in the field and you're trying to see them, for instance, 2 combines in the field, you won't be able to use the shared swath feature. So having that enabled, especially while you're using a cellular connection in the field, is important. The other thing that might be of use to you is this restricted mode. There often are people running equipment that may not be comfortable with the technology inside the cab. If they're concerned about screwing something up or having an issue, you can enable this restricted mode and pre-select the hybrids and varieties for your farm by field. Once you've done that, you can hit turn over the restricted mode to enabled, and then the person in the cab won't be able to make those changes. If changes need to be made, it's a quick toggle of this button over back to disabled. You can talk them through changing whatever needs to be changed. The switch accounts button is very nice too. If you're using 2 different operations on the farm, if you're combining with another operator, another farmer that has their own Climate Fieldview account, you can easily switch back and forth between your account and theirs and combine or seed or plant data within their account and then easily switch back to your account. This was a new feature in 2019. Prior to this, you would have had to delete the cab app, re-download it, sign into whoever account needs to be signed into, let the data download, and then record. And then in order to get back to your field, you'd have to do the same thing all over again. So this was a nice feature that really sped up the process. The data tab will show you how much data you have available on your iPad. Remember that in the cab app, the data is actually stored right on your iPad's hard drive. So it's not stored in the cloud until you cloud sync and send to the cloud. The black app, the climate Fieldview app, is where everything is streamed from the cloud and it requires an internet connection to see. But if you're getting a lot of storage taken up on your iPad, you can go to older years, select them, you can clear the data, which will open up space on your iPad, and that data can always be rebuilt and then brought back into your account. So you do have the option to take some of your old data out. I do recommend it if you're getting full on iPad space. You can go in and add activity. This is really nice if you have a custom applicator that's applying a flat rate product, for instance, like a spreader coming out and spreading urea on your farm, and they're not using Climate Fieldview in their cab. You can go in and still create a layer for your field of that application. If you're using an older air drill or planter that doesn't have capabilities of recording and you're doing a flat rate, you can go in and record that as well. I'm just going to go through a spreader application. So I'm just going to hit add activity, then next. select the field that I want to apply on, select next. Now this is where it figures out what type of application is being made. So I'm just going to say it's with a pull type spreader, but if you selected a planter or an air drill, it would know that you were going to put down seed of some sort. The difference between doing a planter or an air drill is a planter is going to record in seeds per acre, and an air drill is going to report in pounds per acre. So even if you make the application, say it's a soybean seeding application, and you did it with a planter, you can report it, you can say you did it with an air drill, and then it will be in pounds per acre instead of seeds per acre. Vice versa, if you actually seeded it with an air drill, but you'd like to see it in seeds per acre, you can just add a generic planter and say that you seeded it. I'm just going to grab this demo spreader I created that doesn't actually exist on my farm and select next. I'm going to select an application. I've already pre-made a urea application, so I'm just going to select that, hit next. It's 220 pounds an acre, hit next. And then my date of activity, I'll say is April 15th. Then I'm going to go in and add, and that will create that generic base layer that you'll be able to pull up in the map screen on the CAB app. Devices just shows you what Fieldview drives you have synced up to this iPad. The hybrids tab is a place where you can go and add all of the hybrids and varieties that you've purchased. So it will create a pick list for you to select from on all your products. So I'm going to just go in and add a new product. It's going to bring up a big list that I can search from. I'm going to look for Asgrow 02X8 soybeans, and then it'll pop up there. Once you have this pick list, you can either go in and assign each variety or hybrid to a field one by one, or when you're in the map screen recording seeding data, you can then select a hybrid from this smaller pick list instead of having to go and search the big lists every time. So this really does kind of speed up your process. This is the same place where you do that with your seed treatment. And then applications works much the same. So you can go in and actually set up all of your fertility applications and your herbicide or fungicide or insecticide applications. You can make all of those in this here. So I'm going to go in to add new application. I'm going to add a starter fertilizer blend. Select done, then go to next. I'm going to say it's granular, and then I'm going to enter the total pounds per acre that I'm going to be applying. So I'll just say 100. I'm going to go in and add my product. We'll go with 1152. And then I'm going to add some potash. Just to have two products in there. I'm going to say this is 20 pounds and this is 80 pounds, just so I have square numbers. So it is important when you're doing a granular application like fertilizer to make sure that these numbers here add up to the pounds per acre that you're applying. If you're variable rating, that's okay, but the system needs to know that for every 100 pounds going down, 80 pounds of that or 80% of that is going to be 1152. And so it will be able to go up and down from there if you are variable rating, but it's important to have that base rate in there and correct. I'm going to do the same thing with a liquid application to show you a little bit of the difference. So I'm just going to go in and select next. I'm going to say it's a liquid application and hit finish. Now it brings up my application base rate. So here it's going to be a little bit different. I'll select my gallons per acre. I'm going to add my product. Go up here, type in select from the list. I'm going to add another product. Select from the list. Notice that liquid products default to gallons, so that's going to need to be changed. So I'm just going to have 32 ounces per acre here, and 22 ounces per acre here. Now you can, if you have a granular product going in, you can put dry ounces, or you can have gallons or pints or pounds. It just switches to whatever unit of measure you like. Now you do have the option to add your water, but you certainly don't need to. It will just know that for every 15 gallons going out of the tank, 32 ounces of that is going to be Roundup Power Max, and 22 ounces of that is going to be Extended Max of the paper crop. The prescriptions tab is not a place that you can create prescriptions or a place where you can upload prescriptions and then send them to the machine. As of today, our Fieldview drives are read-only off of the machine. But what you can do here is you can import your prescriptions so that you can make them visible on your screen when you are applying them. The notifications tab is also kind of neat. You can go in here, add your email address, and have an email sent to you every time there's a field change or once a day. You can also set up text alerts, so you can type your phone number in here, and then you can add text alerts at harvest, planting, or seeding. With seeding, it's only gives you the option to have text alerts if the drill is driving too fast, but with planting, you have several different options. I'm just going to select the planter you'd want, and then you can actually have text alerts sent to you if you have excessive downforce, poor spacing, loss of ground contact, poor singulation, or if the planter is driving too fast. At harvest time, the text messages are for moisture going too high or too low, depending on what you select as your settings. So that is your Fieldview Cab App settings tab.